everybody. My name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie, the home of extremely inspiring and amazing conversations. And I'm excited about today's conversation. It's about innovation. So let me first read the description that I found here on what innovation is. It's defined as the ability to imagine, create, or improve something in a way that adds value. A new idea, a new method, product, or solution. It means breaking free from the ordinary to meet needs in an extraordinary way. I love also that it introduces new possibilities. It's creativity with purpose, and innovators are lifelong learners. So I want to hear from this innovation panel whether this is what they are doing. So I love the subject of innovation. My guests are very seasoned and I want them to introduce themselves. So karibuni sana. And I'll start to my immediate left, Joram.
My name is Joram Mwinamo and I'm currently the CEO and co-founder of Sandbox. Sandbox International. Sandbox International is an innovative hub that supports entrepreneurs and innovators to build businesses. So whether it's startups or growing businesses, and basically we live, breathe, eat, drink entrepreneurship from morning to evening every day. Yeah, where we work either with corporate organizations working on innovation programs and entrepreneurship programs or donors. And then on this other side, we also work with entrepreneurs directly, so startups and growing businesses, just to help them, structure their businesses for growth and scale. Yeah.
Wow, those two words. Businesses, structure their businesses for
growth and
scale. Yes. Wow, we need to put on a t-shirt. Karibu sana. And I'm really sorry, I'm apologizing. The stand broke.
No, it's okay.
Just bear with us.
I think it makes him look cool.
You can throw the nice words. Joram, yeah. My name is Enos Weswa. I'm the country director for the UK Kenya Tech Hub. So the UK Kenya Tech Hub is based at the British High Commission. And we support tech or innovation-driven entrepreneurs, as well as digitally enabled entrepreneurs. I will define that as time go by. But we support them to access finances, access markets, as well as access talent. I'm also a 2-time founder. I've been in the space of innovation and entrepreneurship for about 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
You look very young to have been around for 15 years.
Yes.
That's a story for another day. What I tell you when just believe why it's 15 years. 15 years. Sounds like a long time. I'm like, hi, are you sure? But karibu sana. Karibu sana, Enos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yvonne?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Yvonne Njeri. I'm a public and private sector innovation management consultant.
Wow.
And what I do is I help innovators and entrepreneurs grow and scale as well. So think about the commercialization. Yes. We're still going to talk about growth and scale. So how they can get their scientific products or tech products into the market. So help them think through their go-to-market strategies and how to commercialize them. I'm also a growth catalyst attached to the Kenya National Innovation Agency. I'm helping universities think through how to scale their products as well.
Wow. That's so amazing. So big clap, big shout. I'm so excited. So it's innovation, there's entrepreneurship, and there's structures, and there's scale.
Yes.
But my first question is why innovation and why did you get into that space? First of all, I was so shocked. Actually, there's a Kenya Innovation
Kenya National Innovation Agency.
National. There's even the one national.
Yes.
Wow. I was like, okay, find out something new every day. But why innovation? Or innovation and entrepreneurship?
If I can go first. For me, it actually comes from the side of the market. I think growing up as an African, it was always part of my story to be very curious about, I'd look at every product and service. And for me, I'd always wonder who made this and how did they make it? And it always seemed very mysterious. growing up, we didn't have as much internet as we do today. So I think, in fact, the only program I remember that maybe showed how things work was it called Japan Video Topics or something? Like
Really?
Kitambo Sana. That's almost VOK days. And there wasn't much information around us to show that we could invent things. So we import everything. But then growing up, I just started to realize innovation is not complicated. It is, you see a problem. If you have the technical capability to maybe you're a scientist, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're a techie. And if you're able to craft a solution to address that problem, you put it out, people take it up and start to use it. And if they're willing to pay, you create a product or a service that's usable, and then it becomes a company. And so for me, growing up, I realized it's not rocket science. So I started to ask myself, why don't Africans innovate?
Innovate more than.
Why is it that every time we talk about a solution, we are thinking, should we go to Germany? Should we go to China? Should we? And you find that is still a very predominant mindset. In a lot of people, even in government or in big corporates and the like, they don't trust what comes from this
country.
But what we create works. And so I became very curious about it and got into the processes of it. And then I started to help other entrepreneurs now innovate. And I'm the kind of person wherever I walk in this country, I see so many problems to be solved. Why hasn't someone created something to address that? Why hasn't someone created something to address that? And you see, if we created solutions to these things and they build companies, then they hire people, they grow, they scale, they generate wealth. So for me, innovation is a gateway to wealth creation. If people just understood what it is.
You don't need to bring it to us further, but that's very interesting. Why innovation?
And I guess just like Joram has mentioned, just that growing up, a lot of this really stems from growing up. I discovered two things that I was really good at. I am a creative as well. So I've been behind cameras. I have imagined doing film at a very big scale. But I'm a graphic designer, accomplished graphic designer.
Well done for that.
And my intersection is between the creativity and science. So I went in to uni as an engineering student. But now actually one of my mentors described what I was doing in a very interesting way. He said, you have this precision of an engineer in your designs. And so ideally, I think about things and I'm very quick to do prototype of them. And I figured out that is what is really quickly needed to sell an idea. And it's part and parcel of innovation. And so creativity tends to fuel innovation. And so, like you've mentioned in your description, which is very accurate, is that there's value component to it.
Added to it.
So I founded my first company before going to campus.
Really?
And in second year, I dropped out. Because catching...
That is the wrong story, but it's okay.
I know. No. Actually,
what as a boomer? What am I? Am I a boomer? What am I?
I will tell them...
My heart has almost stopped.
I would tell them to just keep that.
Yeah, please stay in school.
Yes, please just stay in school. But I would say in my first business is when you realize that there's so much you can do, but if it's a local business, when you're sick, the company is sick. So the realization that I need to grow beyond this tiny local setup and all that, that challenged me to think about how do you scale a business. And it now dawned to me, not all businesses are scalable.
Okay.
So that really pushed me to understand what businesses are scalable. And now my second sort of business was just a realization of what a scalable business model looks like.
Please say you went back to school?
So I did my master's without a degree. And I went back to school as a lecturer. Because I was lecturing a master's degree at the University of Nairobi for units that's product development, which is product innovation and entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're one of those Richard Branson types of people. They like quoting them. There's Richard Branson. Who else is there? Who never finished school? Steve Jobs. Bill Gates.
Zuckerberg.
But I want to remember which generation I am, because I'm telling you, my heart almost stopped. When he said he dropped out of school, I was like, Krisha, we are done. But you see, that's your, I guess, your generation. People are doing things differently.
Yeah.
But it's just my reaction, which is such a typical reaction that has shocked me. Honestly, my heart stopped. I was like, But we're grateful that it ends well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But actually, that's the reason we came together, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because we realized quite a number of innovators and entrepreneurs were dropping out of school.
Okay.
And so there was a gap in the education system. So we were trying to fill that gap.
That's to fill the gap. That's the solution.
That's actually why we came together.
Okay, that's good.
We can tell you a bit about that.
First,
later.
tell me about why innovation.
Why innovation? So for me, so I think I was just ambling along in life, to be very honest, as a marketer, just, selling products and services, until I got into the world of innovation when I got exposed to the world of technology itself.
Okay.
And then I realized there is structure that can actually help me channel my creativity in a way that gives certain results. So I think for me, that was fascinating, because I was at a point in my career where I was just very aware and overwhelmed by all the problems we have in Africa.
Yeah.
And I was like, we cannot be in this century and we're still having people sleeping without food. Like, there's some things that are not okay for me. People don't have clothes. We have so many issues in mobility. We have issues in healthcare. Sanitation, like the list is endless. So I think when I got to the MasterCard Innovation Lab, I think that's where I was able to learn and see how to actually use innovation management processes to solve problems in an effective way. So for me, it was like a magic wand, and I got completely fascinated, and I was like, this is something that I want to do. And better still, is something that I want to share with people. And design thinking is one of the things that I like. I'm pointing to him because it has a lot of design thinking as well.
Wow.
So like using design thinking methodology to solve some of our problems, and the fact that I've been able to help even, groups of people as diverse as churches and mothers and teen groups, and as well as corporate organizations use that methodology to solve real problems, for me is amazing. So, and then as a person, I love creating new things and being in a space where we're talking about new stuff. If it's something that's established, I'm always bored. And I don't do well. But I thrive in spaces where we're creating new things. So that's why I like anything where it's pioneering, beating down the bush, crying. That's where I'm happy.
That's where you're happy.
That's where I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we come to how are you together? But even how are you together? What is it that you do? All of you together.
What do we do, guys?
What do you do, guys? Come on. Tell us what you do.
Faculty. Let me try.
You'll hear us joke, we call each other faculty.
Because you train.
Because we don't just train, but we've been training PhDs.
Yes.
We've been training university lecturers.
Really?
We've been training, people like deans of
Really?
universities.
Deans of university?
Yeah, so what happened is
interesting.
that this organization called Kenya National Innovation Agency,
Amazing.
it is the one mandated by law to be the agency that oversees innovation in the country. And what they try and do is foster either innovation culture, processes, strategies within government agencies, but also now in the
Even
education
you say government,
system.
I'm worried, but let's go on.
Yeah, but across the board. And, the agency got a new CEO a couple of years ago. It's called Dr. Tony Omwansa, who was also, I think, he used to run a university hub at Strathmore and University of Nairobi.
At University of Nairobi.
So C4D Lab. And so he's somebody who had been in the ecosystem as an academic, but he had also been helping startups within universities to grow. So when he was appointed to that position, of course, so this is somebody who was very knowledgeable. And so he's come up with a couple of programs under the Kenya National Innovation Agency. And one of the programs is what we are calling the Startup School, which is what we are involved with.
So you're involved in the startup school.
Yeah. And the Startup School is for universities specifically. And so the people, first, it's the vice chancellors who went through a program to understand the power of entrepreneurship and innovation as educators.
Wow.
And then when they bought into the whole thing, now they sent their faculty to go through this startup school program. And so because universities tend to be very academic and research oriented, there was a question of how do we make this whole question of helping innovators within the universities a practical thing. So there's one program for the lecturers and researchers who have patents or who've come up with new ideas, and they go through a process. So it's called research to commercialization.
So it's sort of like an execution process.
Yeah.
They have the research, they have the patents. Now we want them to execute.
How do you turn it into a business? How do you raise money? How do you,
become
let
profitable.
it run? Or maybe license it to a company or whatever it is. How do you become profitable from that thing that you've done? And there are some pretty amazing ideas.
Yeah, she keeps telling me. I'm like, wow.
And so now there was the other question about, there are people learning entrepreneurship in schools and innovation, but they are being taught by somebody who's more or less an academic, who maybe has not been part of industry.
They've never done anything that entrepreneurship or that innovation.
So they asked, where can we get people who've been in industry for a while? And so we were part of the selection.
Wow.
And so we came up with a curriculum.
You did.
We've done.
Why is Njeri laughing? You came up with a curriculum?
No, because
we came up with
sorry, I'm laughing because we were, Dr. Tony just threw the problem at us and said,
come up with a solution.
And he chose us because we're not academics.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Practically.
That's why you're talking to our faculty. This is practical.
This is practical,
which is good. I love the practical side of everything. You give me too much theory. I want show me where it has been done. And so, like, how old is the startup school?
No,
is it called just a startup school?
Actually, the just as to add, there's something, and this is just to protect my job as well. So
your bosses are watching.
Yes, my bosses are watching.
Shoot your shot. Shoot it.
I mentioned. So I represent, or rather, I work for the UK government.
UK government.
So this is a development partner.
Yes.
And part of what we do is programs around the space, the innovation space. So even research to commercialization was a program by the UK government through our East Africa Research and Innovation Hub.
Okay.
Now, this program, for the startup school, I also do some. I basically sponsor it money-wise. So we it's part of our program. But of course, it's being nurtured and being held by the Kenya National Innovation Agency. But initially, of course, it was a collaboration between the JICA and the UK Kenya Tech Hub, who brought in some funding and decided to fund it. So I wear two hats. When they always not confused, but I am really passionate to be part of faculty because much as I'm giving the money, I am always very hands-on. And I always imagine what the outcome would look like. So this was a push that we really needed the right people to really make this work. And I think Tony saw that and said, like, there's no way you're just funding this and
get involved, get some skin. This is skin in the game.
Yes.
Come and see what you're going to do. So you're not just talking from afar.
Exactly.
Come here and see what the issues are.
Yes, and that's why we are faculty. And really,
so at some point we were like, if we are able to train PhDs,
I know,
aren't we faculty?
You're faculty.
Shouldn't we get honorary degrees?
You should get honorary degrees. You definitely need to be conferred to give us an honorary degree. I hope you're not waiting forever, because now you might circumvent the decision. We wanted people who are just practical here. Now you'll become honoraries, do PhD now. That's not going to help us. But it sounds exciting. How long has the startup school been?
It's actually just been this year. It's just been this year.
Yeah, I've just done a pilot.
But we came up with the curriculum ourselves for the modules. But I think for me, just listening to the members of, the participants come back to us and tell us, where we started versus where we are at. Our mindsets have changed. A lot of them have actually gone on back to their universities as serious, what should I say, ambassadors, like innovation ambassadors. And for me, that is just amazing.
That's amazing.
The graduation was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Which graduation now?
You two weren't there.
There was a graduation.
We heard about it.
I know.
When was there a graduation? The start of school is done.
Yes.
Or season
The first
1,
one.
first year.
Actually,
Cohort 1.
it is not done, but that was just sort of I'd say a module that encompasses some sort of mind shifting sort of, because we needed that mind shift.
Yeah.
We needed to really tell them, this is not your normal entrepreneurship program that I have been a part of for some time, but this is a mind shift kind of sort of approach, but that really worked wonders. So during the graduation, when we had this, was it 25? We trained how many?
At the Kenya Startup Festival.
Yes. How many did we?
I think it was
take?
about 25.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Taken from different universities.
Yes,
Yeah.
different
universities.
So the work they were able to display, or the progress and the milestone, was just mind blowing.
So they displayed their work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Because
had
I was going to say, do we
assignments.
have any results? Me, I need
Yes.
tangible. As much as I want practical, I also want to see tangible results. I
Yeah.
came this and this is what
Yes.
I've done.
It was amazing to listen
Wow.
to them, to listen that university like Maseno, which is a public university, unlocking about 10 million in terms of funding to students who are what we call student founders.
Wow.
So that is unheard of, where a university commits to actually support student founders to actually move their product or move their idea to actually what we call an MVP, minimum viable product, before launch and market.
That's amazing.
We keep saying,
Well done.
like, I think it's been the most impactful program even I have
Really.
been part of, because it didn't just look at elite universities. Like you mentioned, we had Maseno, we had Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, we had Kabianga, we had Embu University. So there was like just a selection of public and private units. So we also had USIU, Daystar, Riara, and just that mix of people from all over the country. And then they come back with results, and you can see now they are determined to run an innovation hub.
That's
They have
amazing.
come up with
Really, they
programs.
have to their campuses
In their
to
campuses.
start an
Like
innovation
if you are
hub.
an
So you've
innovator
multiplied
today-
this solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
They
now
have
we're opening
programs
it up.
running.
A catalytic
programs
effect.
running.
Actually, most of the programs that we look at, they have to have that catalytic nature. And like he said, these are that basically what we did was to challenge them to think about not going there every year, is actually them taking part and being active in actually now making this catalytic, attract more funding. USIU, they have an amazing story
Yes.
about the fund they have attracted. And like, it's just because we didn't have enough time, but most university have reached out, even personally, to tell me, this is how our innovation strategy looks like.
Wow.
And it's brilliant, well thought, and it encompasses how students are going to move their ideas into real solutions that are scalable. And we're just like, call us, we'll come, support you. And then over time, you'd actually gain the traction and the momentum.
You to do it by yourself.
Yes.
That's amazing, because I was going to ask, yes, Njeri.
No, I was just going to say, and also what Enos is not saying, and Joram as well, is how at the beginning it was not easy.
I can imagine.
And then I just look at us like,
Now even the students.
can you tell us? No, the faculty. So remember, we're training.
First you train the faculty
Yes.
with the PhD people.
Yes.
So they're the ones who are giving you side eye.
Yes.
There are
What are you guys talking about?
lecturers who have taught entrepreneurship for as long as Enos has been alive. Let
But
me
they
say that.
don't even, as long as Enos has been alive. So they actually don't have the entrepreneurship experience. It's from an academic point of view.
Yeah.
I think if you have to understand academics, academics come from this point of view because they've gone through such rigorous training, and everything is about research, about evidence, about
Yes.
process and all sorts of things. So now when you bring someone who's not a PhD to teach this, at first they are looking at you, they're like, what are you coming to tell us? But you see, some of us couldn't be in school because we were out in the field building businesses. And so we are bringing that practical experience.
Powerful.
But I think once we just got into the content and then we got deeper into the content of the things that we were teaching. We had topics like the whole design thinking and human-centered design. What is it? Like you're going step by step. Then you realize maybe we are being too complex. Let's backtrack a little bit and, go and you have to give practical examples of Kenyan businesses, that you've taken through this process. And I think that's why it was helpful having people who had done innovation practically, small companies, big companies, all sorts of things, so that we could be very, very practical about this. But we also talked about what's the role of universities when it comes to innovation. And then looking at what universities do abroad, your Facebooks and everything came out of universities.
Came out of campuses.
So we are like, why is it that the biggest companies, innovators, are coming out of universities in Stanford and blah, blah, blah in the West?
But not here.
But here, where are they? What is broken in our system that's not happening? We talked about the ecosystem, helping them understand where they can plug into investors, this kind, that, and the other. We talked about fundraising as universities and went through the fundraising landscape. So it was very practical around all these things. And that's why he's saying it's very exciting when they come back and say, we put in a proposal to organization X, and we've gotten 50,000 pounds to test something in our university. We put into action what you talked about, and here
it has produced
are the results, and we are getting going on our innovation journey as a university.
Yeah, and for me, the best part of that story is taking these 25 students and then they go back and start, because that's such a easy way now to multiply that you don't always have to be the solution. These 25 people can, and then they have unique things about their particular campuses, or there's always a culture, there's a way things that, so they will understand that culture. They will understand how things are done here, and then they'll move around it. So I really love it. And then it multiplies. Yeah. But how did you decide who was coming to the center first? Or first you did the PhD. I keep forgetting the lecturers.
Yes.
Then next.
So there's a founder track as well for startup school. Founders track.
So non-university sort of founders.
But they founded something.
Yes.
Probably they were stuck somewhere. They didn't know what to do next, or?
Exactly. So this is just a growth pipeline, or and I think it's important also to explain something. And I'm passionate about explaining this.
Good, please explain.
So initially I'd mentioned not all businesses can scale.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was an epiphany moment for me to actually now get into innovation. So this innovation-driven enterprise, or what we call tech startups, basically what happens is that it stems from an idea, and then they have to go to the lab. And the lab, I don't mean your chemistry, or it's just a testing sandbox where they basically go out to the market because it's a new product. We've just uncovered that something new is coming out of this. So that allows you to create a differentiator that will give you competitive edge to scale.
Okay.
The other local business model that is really MSME, and they're big in their own way, and basically they have this local, it's like selling clothes, and that's also entrepreneurship, and it carries the bulk of the economy. You'll find that a lot of confusion has been, you take such businesses and you tell them we are incubating. I always make fun and say you can't incubate a boiled egg, because this
the egg has to be raw.
The egg has to be raw and fertile to actually now give to that big vision that you're looking for. But you see, again, there's advantages of having a boiled egg. You can actually eat it immediately. Yes. So for a local business, you can actually, it starts making profit immediately. But this one, you're getting in a lot of resources to actually demonstrate that, or to find what we call a repeatable, scalable business model.
Wow.
And that's why you need a lot of this thing, a lot of a clear framework. How do I move to MVP? But there's still financial backing through this process. And that's why university play a big role, and also venture capitalists or seed funders, angel investors, all those come together to put in some money with the hope that the potential here is greater. And once we have this egg hatch, then we'll actually see the full potential. And most of them exit the business through selling of the shares.
They sell their shares,
yes,
and then they leave.
They move to
Wow.
the other. So that's the realization of this word, the so-called startup, the startup economy. And I think it's very important to get that right, because we would confuse a lot of people, and then confuse a lot of how we manage the resources and use the resources effectively.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really overwhelmed by it. But it's a lot, but I feel like it's a good thing, because also when I think about the youth bulge, they say by 2050, is it 2050? 50% of the continent will be youth. And then if I think about the way things are going, there are no jobs.
Yeah.
So I feel like, innovation, entrepreneurship, that's the next thing for them.
Absolutely.
And they also love it. I think they're also wired for it. They want to work for themselves, create their own times and all that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's a real good wiring for this conversation and to pick up this concept. Whereas maybe in our generation, it was not good wiring. Us guys we read hard, we go to school, we get a job, that's it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a whole different world now. And I think this is sitting right in the middle of a solution for that world and for the youth bulge.
Yeah. And I think if you take that bird's eye view, I think it's a good one, because and I think even why the universities were actually able to come is because they could see that they are not able to guarantee, and I use that word loosely, that the students are going to get jobs. But not everyone is created to be an entrepreneur. I don't think not everyone wants it or has the skills for it or the motivation, because you need a certain level of resilience.
Motivation and resilience.
to be one.
Yeah.
But I always say the more we create, first of all, and this is a common thread that we have, where we believe collectively that we can solve our own problems as Africans, and we can fund. And I like Joram's story, and I want to tell it about how Africans are funding Africans. Yes, because it's a very good myth
That is so
to
amazing.
bust. Yes. So I was saying, I think there are those ones who are called and they're passionate, guys like Enos who at second year will drop out. That's okay. But they'll go build their business and then they will need a marketing person. They will need a finance person. They will need, so then they create the jobs. So that's why I say the whole innovation ecosystem works well like that, because we're all pulling. Then he will need someone to bring tea to his office. You've created something. And I think when you look at the master plan, which maybe one day we can invite Dr. Tony to talk about it.
I'd love to have a conversation.
Yes, he has actually like a 10-year innovation master plan, which I think is really good. And
For
it's very
Kenya.
well
For Kenya.
the country of Kenya.
But coffee in advance.
Yeah. And I think it's such a good one, and it will really move us. It will help us move. So that also we can be seen. I don't know if it's possible. We can be seen at the levels of like in India, Estonia.
No, actually, it's possible.
I think it's possible.
It is very possible, and that's the push, because I know I have made very audacious statement even for the High Commissioner at work, that we are hoping that we will actually turn out 500 spin-offs. And that's huge number in the next 5 years. That's huge number. But I actually believe in the process we've started. After I listened to what we have just planted and the bit that has been cultivated, I think I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think what you'd see is that because it's 14 universities that we did this pilot with, but I think we have 70 plus public, private. Every county has a university nowadays. So, and then there's a private ones. And so the idea is to roll this out because now we have proof, we have evidence, we have testimonials from the educators themselves in terms of the impact it's had in the universities. So now all the other universities are hearing about it, of course, wherever they go into their forums, and now want to come into the program. And that's why this was like a pilot, and we are looking at how do we now roll out to all other universities to go through this education, to go back and set up what we call the innovation hubs, where the students or even the lecturers who may have patentable or, good IP that can be turned into a business, that happens. And then also we have something called technology transfer offices.
Yes.
Which is a feature of universities. A lot of universities have something called a technology transfer office, where if either a student or, a lecturer is able to come up with this great idea, but is supported by the university and it becomes a business, you find that if they're able to raise investment and the company grows and maybe is sold, because the university participated in helping that business, maybe they owned shares of that business by the time it's being sold.
Wow.
And you find that money now is channeled even back to the university coffers to fuel other, other innovations that can happen. And so a lot of our universities have struggled on how to set that up. And so what's that thing called, Neil? Kenya National Educators, Innovation, Leaders.
It's entrepreneurial.
So now there's a network of the entrepreneurial educators who are sharing frameworks, policies, taking back to the Senate how the universities can change their policies so that these technology transfer offices can now be officially there and they can understand these mechanisms of supporting and benefiting jointly. And you find there are a lot of universities that make a lot of money year in, year out, millions of dollars because of the businesses that come out of. Like if you listen to the story of Google, what were they doing? They were PhDs in a university doing research. And so research is what became the company. And then as it grows and becomes this behemoth, all that money plus the fame and all sorts of things goes back to, the university and that kind of thing. So we are hoping to recreate a similar ecosystem where that can begin to happen in our universities.
And actually, there've been an exchange program, sort of a knowledge exchange with India as an ecosystem. So in this program, we had Hyderabad. But recently, actually, I met a team from Madras. And now IIT Madras, they have an incubation center. And just to unpack what they've done, they have about 10, they spin off, I think, 100 or something. And the companies are valued at about 6 billion USD. So you can imagine, you can imagine if we do it right, and that's on the lower side in terms of valuation. And so we are really keen to look at what are they doing right, because even the other thing that we learned is what we call specialization. And like you rightfully said, the university they are different. If you go to JKUAT, we know them, they've been talking about technology for a long time. If you go to DECUT, they've been doing semiconductors. If you go to KU, they have a hospital and a whole referral hospital, and they also have a morgue. So when it comes to, and they have a traditional medicine lab that can now allow you to actually launch your traditional medicine after you've approved. So when you look at this infrastructure, is if you direct resources well, you can get a lot of these quality spin-offs that will be valued at billions of dollars in the next, let's say, 5 years.
So I'm also seeing this. So there has to be a lot of corruption-free drama. You know where we are. And corruption has to be there. And then I'm saying and then also you give them skills on how to set up the companies. And so it's legal as well. So there's a legal documentation. So that if this thing blows up, we already know what it is, what is going where and where it's going to. So I'm just loving the whole idea. I really, really, really am. Maybe I'm going to ask you what challenges you've seen, because there must be challenges, and then what are the success. And I want real success stories. Like even there's a story hasn't told us. About African funding. Can you tell us about Africans funding Africans? What's that about?
You want me to start from there?
She's not. Njeri said start there. Njeri said you have to tell us a story about Africans funding Africans.
I think like a lot of the things that we discussed, even as we were putting all this content together, is just I think there's a lot of do you call them misperceptions? Is that an English word? Like wrong perceptions about what our ecosystem is. So you have very popular narratives around only white people get funding.
I know.
Only this, that, and the other. But those of us who've been on the ground working with innovators for a long period of time, I remember one of the sessions I did was showing the evolution of the Kenyan entrepreneurship ecosystem down from the 60s and how people like your Chris Kirubis, your Spectres and everything came from a government innovation hub called Kenya Industrial Estates, which is still in existence.
KIAs, it is still there, yes.
And now, coming down to, there was a government incubator somewhere in the 90s.
There was a government incubator?
It was called Kekobi and that kind of thing.
I think I need to read these stories.
And then you had the stories of Africa Online and Kina Isi Makatiani.
I remember.
Business for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there's,
World
and then
Space and all that,
Wananchi Online came and that kind of thing.
Online,
and so anyway, so we were exposing them to, there's a lot of local content. In fact, a lot of people took our slides and we gave them IP free and said, teach this instead of teaching Google and all these other stories.
Amazon stories.
Here is our story. We have Kenyans who've built businesses,
Joram.
who've raised money locally, who are funded by whether it's high net worth individual with angel investors. I think we have a common friend. He was called Mr. James Gashui. Gashui was one of Kenya's most prolific angel investors. And companies like Wananchi Online came from there. It was not actually foreigners who did this thing. And so we've been busting a lot of myths about
that is so, you're busting them in my head. Yeah, they even busting and I'm like,
ecosystem and just the amazing things that actually happen on the ground. They may not make it into the limelight, but there's a lot of amazing things happening on the ground.
Good.
Here. Yeah.
Wow.
No, actually, that particular piece of really understanding how this has moved the ecosystem.
Wow.
Kenya registered the first student exit in Africa.
Student?
Exit. And by exit, I mean a startup that was sold at a very high value.
What?
And that's Hilda Mora's
Wezatele,
which you remember during the time when Obama came. Obama came and there was this announcement that this company had been sold. It was about, I think, 150 million or something.
I remember.
Yes. So that was a student at Strathmore at that time. And the same Hilda Mora has founded another startup called Pezesha. So, and then there were all these very interesting conversation that actually showed Africa there's something happening in Kenya. We had the first mega exit, which was DPO, about 200 and something million USD.
Dollars,
and then we had another mega, it was the first Series C in Africa, which was Cellulant. Yes, about some 45 million USD.
Wow.
And this actually showed the Nigeria. There's something about fintech that you guys need to worry about. And so we have demonstrated for Africa that so many things are possible. And this also, of course, came with the wave of the undersea cable and your iHubs and your Safaricoms and the programs in university. So it's quite so. I went ahead as a designer to actually create a more graphical sort of route, which I think I can share.
I think we should share.
Which is quite
people need to see. Seeing is believing.
Yes.
Yeah, they can say we're just talking here. Sylvia, description, in the description.
Yes. So I can, it's very, very good graphics that you can see that, of course, from
this is how the ecosystem
evolved.
And something else interesting we did, we invited some of these founders to come and talk to this.
In the flesh and the blood. They actually exist.
Like Njeri came, then we had other startups, that they came to talk to the innovators. Interesting, I think Ken also dropped out. And some of the conversations we were having is, if these hubs had existed in universities, then these people who went out to channel their energies into businesses would have probably stayed and been incubated in the universities and, gotten the help that they wanted there.
That's amazing.
And so those are some of the conversations that we're having in terms of how do we design universities that are able to channel the energies of these young innovators
and incubate these
into
businesses.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Me, I'm so excited. When Njeri was talking about, I was saying, Kenya who? What is that? So I'm really loving that. And I'm loving that we're bringing this to the, I want to say the limelight, but to face, but that's important. You are going to have a startup festival. That's it's an annual event. Is
it going to be annual?
I think it's going to be annual.
You've done one.
It has to be.
When did you do yours? June.
Yes,
June.
It was in early
between
June.
5th and 6th, 4th and 5th.
And what happened at the startup festival? Oh, look, I've jumped on
amazing. That's a whole
that's a whole story.
Yes, because you see, there were of course the highlight was of course the WIPO
what is WIPO?
WIPO.
Yeah, because you guys are talking a lot of insider language.
It's true. I'm just realizing.
World
Intellectual Property
Organization.
Okay.
And of course the Secretary General was there.
Oh.
And he actually used a Kenyan example of a student who's filed their patent. And when you file your patent with WIPO, it's a global patent. And you see, when I was talking about scalability, patents do play a very big role
in scalability.
Because, and even in attracting funding, because funders will tell you, what is the differentiating factor? If I put money here, 100 other people won't easily start what you're doing. And so you have to build that differentiator in a number of levels and layers.
Okay.
So IP is one that really sits squarely with the universities. And if you enable IP, you're enabling innovation. So the highlight was that he was there using a Kenyan example and actually making us feel that WIPO is just not another UN seated somewhere and telling us, but and all this is just how Tony envision how to bring together the resources that
Maybe you can also talk more about what else happened.
What happened at the I'm waiting. What happened at the startup festival?
There was quite a number of exciting moments. So we had an investor, not investor, but a CVC.
What is CVC?
What's a CVC?
CVC is corporate venture capital.
Okay.
So a lot of capital that we need locally is also with corporates. And corporates are also doing something. They're also starting their own hubs. We have Britam with their Better Lab that have actually brought in a few startups into the limelight. And then we have Safaricom. Safaricom actually, Spark. We have, so in that breakfast meeting, we brought in corporates and said, hey, how can we amplify what we're doing and also bring other people on board? We need local funding. And the idea about local funding is that, of course, it's less riskier, both from foreign exchange perspective, and also it's more patient because you understand the kind of market you're dealing with. It's not like the US money that really, if you remember when, of course, Twiga had to suffer that bit where the time they got the money, the dollar was at 110, and right now they have to pay at 165. How do you account for that whole margin? Yes, so there's that bit.
So when it's local, we don't have to do that.
Yes, so corporates play a very big role. In all successful ecosystem, corporates have been part and parcel of the story.
Okay.
But we managed to have that breakfast. We also had a breakfast for ESOs.
What are ESOs?
ESOs are entrepreneur support organizations.
Okay.
Like what Joram is running.
Oh, with Sandbox.
Yes.
Now that makes sense.
Yes, I have them. And so again, other than that, we had what we call the Startup World Cup. So this is a global competition for startups where they pitch and there's a deal room. And ideally, Kenyan startups emerged to be winners. So it was
what is for don't just say that.
Yes.
We need to be good at something. Hallelujah. Kenyan startups.
Yes. So
That makes me so proud.
no, there's something about Kenya. And in fact, I don't know if you have these
Kenyans.
statistics, but last year we attracted the most amount of funding in Africa.
In
The whole of
Africa.
Africa.
Correct.
Ahead of South Africa and Nigeria.
29% of Africa funding was for Kenya.
And please understand this from the context of size as well.
Yes.
So South Africa, Nigeria both have just numbers.
Yes, they have so many people.
And
Yes.
startups, but we attracted the most funding. I
Yes.
think that's an
Amazing.
amazing
Yes.
statistic.
Maybe because it was well thought through. The
There's also
planning,
elements
the
of
training,
trust.
trust for us.
Yes, trust, accountability.
Vibrant ecosystem.
Vibrant
visibility.
Yes, visibility.
Work ethic.
Yes.
Work ethic,
Yes.
Everywhere, Kenyans, I'm always saying, just like, like athletes, I'm always saying, you can't beat these people. You were here for a hobby. This guy, let me tell you, when he crossed the marathon, hey, you can't beat him. Even if it's so hard, it can't happen. Because the man is seeing something very different from what you're seeing, or the woman.
Yeah.
That finishing line means houses for parents, school fees for people,
Yes.
cows and goats. Hey, please. It's a hobby. Motivation is, let me tell you, I better get across that line and get paid because I've got to do stuff. So I like that. And even their work ethic, I've seen them in other countries, Kenyans. They work so hard. As soon as they know, okay, this one pays, this one, that. Best performance.
Yeah, there's
Best
actually
performance.
a statistic that after Indians in the US, Kenyans are the next
They are,
best paid,
definitely.
immigrants.
Yeah. And then they do well. The best thing about it is they do well.
Yeah.
They will, I think we are taught that. Maybe instead of our education system, our parenting, they will do well because they were taught well.
Yeah.
I always remember one day out there telling me she was on a bus and she stood up for an older person. See, that is a very important thing. You must remember the eye of your mother is on you. Is that what you are taught? So there's a way we are brought up, socialized, that will deliver. And thank God we were taught it was not about shortcuts.
Yeah.
We have to go the whole haul and do it well. So that's so good.
And there was
Well
now
done.
the graduation for the startup.
For the startups.
Yes.
The ones now who went through the actual
startups.
program.
Yeah, and
Wow.
just sharing about what they've managed to accomplish.
Amen.
So that was a highlight.
Yeah, that
Great
was
success stories.
faculty. You felt
That was,
proud.
I actually told Tony this is basically
And these
what
people
we
are
live
not
for.
there. We don't even know where they were there. Where were they on such an
Actually,
important day?
I think one of the interesting things to mention among some of the people who are graduating and some of the people who've been in the research to commercialization, we have some lecturers who've now either secured patents or it's usually called patent pending.
Lecturers.
I mean, we have amazing ideas. I don't know if you can remember many of them. There's this guy who's gotten a patent for having an additive to, is it cement?
Yes, you were telling me about that. About healing cement.
Self-healing cement.
Self-healing cement.
So whether it's water that comes in or whatever it is, it just repairs itself over time. And it reduces
that was sitting somewhere. And
that is sitting with a
reducing the
Kenyan
cost.
innovator. Somebody else has come up with something for treating leather, during the tanning process and makes the process cheaper and, more.
Gets rid of waste.
Yeah.
There are people there with, innovative foods like they've created in the lab that have more nutrients and, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Boost
So
immunity.
I'm telling you see the ideas that come out of there and you're like, we have these things in this
In
country.
Kenya.
Why do we think that innovation only happens out there?
And you see the most important question is always how can we also enable them to actually get the market traction they desire?
Wow.
And so a lot of this intervention is also just looking at markets critically, because ultimately, when you scale a business, you are going to create more jobs.
Yes.
Like you've said.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to create more value. And in fact, people are going to experience your solution at a larger scale. And that's what we are looking at and saying, yes, the next generation of industry, the next generation of amazing solution, have to come from the university.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
And you asked about challenge. And one of the things that the other side of this coin and why things like WIPO are so important and talk about intellectual property is because we realize, even as we're talking to a lot of these innovators within the university setting, is one of their fears. They have this brainy idea. but they'll never share it. Why? They're scared it will be stolen.
Yes.
I don't believe in stealing of ideas personally.
Hey, let
because
me tell you, you don't know. You are not going to say that. We have examples of real theft. You just see your thing being produced. You're like, how did this happen? How did this happen? So these are real fears.
I know. But I always say, I think because I've talked to so many startups over the years, I have had someone with a creative idea from Pwani University and then listened to one in Nakuru and they're exactly the same. And there's no way those two have ever met. So in that sense, Okay. But it's a real fear. That one is for sure. So that's why even looking at it holistically is making sense. So not just about the innovation and the science behind, but how do we go to market? How do we protect? How do we ensure we have
Which
talent?
is where the patents are coming.
Correct.
Yeah,
we're even having conversations around getting a co-founder because these guys are very technical, which is okay.
Who is very technical?
They're innovators at the university. So they are,
so you need a co-founder.
So they go get somebody else.
With a business background.
Yes.
Then that
to help him go to market better.
Amazing.
So we look at it from a holistic point of view, so that it can.
So let me just ask something else. 20. So you did 25. You did 25. 25 students from 14 universities.
Yes.
So now that was the pilot. So I'm sure you're going to scale.
Yeah, if we are given money.
Enos has to find the money. This is a success story. He must look for the money and find it. We're also giving him that assignment.
I'll make the announcement here.
Make it.
Is that I am so excited that also at Post and our budget holders know that this is a successful project.
Excellent.
So the money would look for money and get this done, and at a very sort of big scale. And the other thing is that it has a ability to attract other funding. So it's never it's
not only about you guys.
It's not about the UK government, It's about who else really can be part of this.
Because what you shared is now when they go back to their universities, they're able to attract their own funding to execute. So that's very exciting.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So how many startup schools will you have in a year? Is it one startup school so far?
So the first two.
This thing has taken you through the ringer from the way, especially the two of you are looking at each other. You and Joram. What is it? It's Joram. This is for the greater good of this great nation and this great continent.
Also because the demand is great. And even as we were putting out stories about what was happening, we are getting interest coming from other countries where people from universities in other countries are like, what's this program about? And so we know Dr. Tony has started, I've been in conversations with him, networking with there's a similar association in South Africa for educators in the entrepreneurship space. I think people like Africa Development Bank, there's other people who've been looking towards these kind of things. And now they've seen this as something that's, yielding success here. So there's a lot of people just taking an interest.
So you guys have to multiply yourselves. I'm just going to say congratulations. This is I'm excited. I'm excited. This is very exciting for me. This is the start of a conversation, so I'm expecting us to have more. But it's really good that what you have been able to do. So keep it up. Energize yourself. Don't worry. Energize yourself. I will pray for multiplication because we must be able to multiply ourselves and multiply the solution. And the fact that even other countries are coming to look is very, very great. So if you could just look into the camera and just give the last thing that you want to say.
I can go first. I think this is we are excited because this is part of an innovation revolution.
Amazing.
So many things have come out of this.
I love it.
We even have a side where public sector organizations have been coming for this same innovation training. So your Kenya Powers, your Kenjans, all these sorts of people. We are starting a similar revolution inside public sector organizations.
Very good.
But we are definitely looking forward to, all universities participating and this becoming a normal thing where student innovators and university researchers and lecturers who have ideas that are patentable can just have easy avenues of being able to solve local problems. We have people like I think it's Kabianga that's in Kericho, and we were talking about how do we do research around tea? How do we there's actually a tea hub, a hub just around tea innovations.
The things you don't know.
Like so many things happening in this country. DECUT is one of the few universities, probably in Africa, that deals with semiconductors, and there's semiconductor manufacturing happening in that university today as we speak. And so there are so many amazing things that can happen within university localities. And so we are just looking to see how that impact can be done. And finally, for us to start getting our own solutions to our own problems. And when those things are commercialized, the money stays here. Or they can sell the business, but at least they'll have made a few billions that they can now
circulate here in the economy.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's something beautiful when you realize that there's no better time to start a startup, either as a student or a non-student founder, than this time.
Wow.
Because when I was a student, we weren't talking about these things.
Yeah.
Now we are talking about these things. And not only talking about them, is like there's a concerted effort to collaborate, to bring in whatever small resources we have to actually make it work for our amazing, very creative students and also amazing youth. We are always running up and down with innovative ideas. And so the right time is now. Then the other thing that I would just encourage is that for a very successful ecosystem, it encompasses corporates, encompasses especially those who've gone ahead of us, the entrepreneurs, to actually be mentors. Because a strong mentorship program is one of the key to actually unlocking. And then finally, whatever resource you have, whatever insights you have to make this better. I know someone is listening to this and probably wondering, how can I do it in this village, some village somewhere? Reach out. And this is under the national program. So we are actually building it in such a way that it will be able to reach everywhere. And really thanks for this opportunity for awareness, Angie, because this is what we need the most to get the word out there. And
I'm very sure, because this platform, people will call you to many other platforms.
Yes,
which is good, but this is the start. Njeri?
I think for me, what I want to part with is hope. I think there's a lot that's happening in the country that is really pulling us down, emotionally, mentally, physically,
everything. Yes.
Everything. And just to say, like, I personally have been amazed at how many good solutions we have. So there's some narratives that keep going around for we have nothing to offer.
We have
substandard goods and all that. So I just want to say there's actually, every time I do any of these trainings, I come out feeling so hopeful because I see vaccines. I've seen bioorganic solutions for tomatoes. I've seen self-healing cement. I'm not trying to say those are even the top. Even there's categories of people who make hand washing powder that doesn't cut your hands. Little things like those.
Wow.
So we actually truly do have the potential, our own selves as Kenyans, to solve our own problems and make our own lives better. So I just want to encourage any innovator out there, anyone who has an amazing idea, you can reach out to any one of us. I'm sure we'll have our socials.
All your socials,
all our socials will be
all
up.
Socials.
Yes, and just encourage, take part. Don't stay with your amazing idea at home. Don't stay with it. Share it. Go out. Don't be scared to share it. Go out. Look for a space where it can grow. It can be nurtured. If you need our help, feel free to reach out.
And I think this is a safe space.
Yes.
For you guys are safe spaces. So they can do that. Yeah. Me, the exciting thing, and I know we're out of time. Annie Barrow is just so upset with me, but let me tell you, a few years ago, God kept saying there's going to be an economic revival in Kenya. Where? All the evidence, I'm like, where is the economic revival? Please show us.
Yes.
Where, you say things with confidence. Hey,
Yeah.
You're like, God, where is this economic revival? Yeah. But now when I'm even listening to you, when the facts are that Kenya attracted the most funding, and then we're on the way to somewhere.
The right track.
And that hope, we have to have hope.
Yes.
We can never lose hope, and we can never lose sight of who we are as Kenyans.
Yes.
We cannot lose sight.
Yeah.
We must focus on what we can do and how we can do this better. I am so excited. I'll be praying for you. I'm going to pray for multiplication, more energy, doing many things. But I just love this conversation. And we have to have another one. And you have to bring that man, the one of Kenya, National Innovation Agency. We didn't even know there was something like that. Why? Okay. But I feel even him, he brought a different twist. Because he was actually an innovator. Yes. So he understood it from a different perspective. Correct. Absolutely. Miss Namakofi kwenye sana. You have done so well. Keep going. Keep doing. This is exciting.
Thank you.
God bless. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.